morning, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Financially Speaking. I hope you had a wonderful holiday yesterday, Commonwealth Day, I believe it was. Well, I work. I never have holidays. I work. But anyway, those who didn't work, I hope you had a wonderful day. Welcome to another segment, as I mentioned earlier, Financially Speaking. We have a guest this morning. And I'll let our guests introduce themselves. Of course, we have the minister, and she has her entourage with her. And I'll let them introduce themselves as well. We're going to talk about a number of things today. We're going to start off with the minimum wage, and then we're going to talk about some other areas. So please tune in. Unfortunately, not going to be on the radio at this time. Hopefully be on tonight at 7. But you can let your friends know that we are on Facebook live stream. And they can hear us later for those who listen to the radio at 7 p.m. And with that said, I want to welcome Hon Rachel Taylor to the show. I mean, everybody knows her. This is probably her third time on the show, but I'll let her introduce herself again. Honorable Taylor.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Seymour, my good cousin. Hi, neighbor.
Yes.
And I knew you was up to something today, but
Really?
I'm prepared for you today, Mr. Seymour.
No, I'm never up to anything.
Yes, last time I came on, my portfolio was a bit different. I'm the Minister for Education, Youth, Sports, and Social Services. And here with me, I have two of the most handsome men in the country, and they will introduce themselves.
Go ahead.
Thank you for that prelude, Minister. Good morning, Turks and Caicos. My name is Amin McCartney. I'm one of the Deputy Permanent Secretaries in the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, and Social Services.
Good morning, Turks and Caicos. I'm Edgar, Howell, Director of Education.
I thought you'd say Deputy Premier. Well, welcome again to the show. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. And this is more an informative and educational show for our listeners. And we want to go right into the minimum wage. So we know a committee was established, and you came back out with the results of that committee, and you settled at the $8 and the $9, right, respectively.
Right.
Tell us a bit more about that. I mean, why did you choose? First of all, why did you choose the $8? I think there was a range.
Yes.
There were three.
Yeah, there were 3
points.
Right.
I assume you chose the middle one.
Yeah, we chose the middle one, because it was $8, so at $9, and then it was $7.25.
Okay, but you did choose 9 for the security and manufacturing stuff.
Right.
So tell us more about that. I know there was also a consulting. There was a period of consultation, I believe, or response from the public.
Yes.
The deadline, has that already passed?
The deadline has passed.
All right, so tell us about it then.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And as the Minister for Labor at that time, it was Cabinet's mandate for us to put a working group together to come up with a living wage rather than a minimum wage. Because based on ILO, the International Labor Organization, they have recommended that instead of looking at a minimum wage, we look at also social programs to go along with the minimum wage, which takes into consideration programs such as daycare centers, after-school programs, nutritional programs. So those are the 3 social programs that we chose to go along with the minimum wage. So the 3, again, I must mention, is the daycare centers, the nutritional program in schools, and then the after-school program. And that was based on the recommendation from the ILO.
Right.
Now, we decided to go with the $8 because what we realized that many of the sectors, some persons were already making $8 or above for most of the sectors. So that's the reason why. And based on the discussions that we have had with the various companies, they have clearly indicated that it would not have much of impact on them should it be raised to $8. Now, there was a question in relation to having those persons in the hospitality sector, like the waitress and the waiters, be at $7.25 because they usually have the service charge. But what we decided in Cabinet is to go across the board with the $8, but take into consideration the $9, and that will factor in construction, security, manufacturing, banking, financial services. So that was for the $9 per hour.
Well, I hear you mention that most schools getting paid around $8, but I know there are some concerns particularly from the security companies, because we use security companies in some of the businesses that I manage, and they're complaining about the $9. And in fact, they have already sent their new proposed rates to us, saying because of the increase in minimum wage, the security rate has now increased.
But I mean, to be honest, looking at security companies, there's a high risk involved with individuals who work as security. So I think if there's anyone whose salary, or I should say wage, should increase per hour, I think it really should have been security officers, because it's a risk involved. And not only that, the late hours that they have to be out of their homes, I really think the $9 should have addressed security officers.
Mm-hmm. And this is effective April 1st.
April
It's
1st.
confirmed for April 1st.
April 1st, yes.
Okay. And you mentioned that a lot of businesses say they wouldn't feel the impact. And I know a lot of people, you can't please everybody, because a lot of people complaining, oh, now they increase the minimum wage, everything is going to go up now, because those businesses have to, get their, recover their costs. Have all that being taken into consideration, because now, NIB is going up in April 1st as well. Yes, NIB is going up. I'm quite sure NIB is going
1%.
up. Yeah,
1%.
1% each, right?
Yes, but now we know that for civil servants, government has covered the cost for all civil servants. That's the reason why civil servants received the 4% increase. The 4% of increase was to factor in the 1% NIB over a period of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how do we compare to the rest of the Caribbean islands? Do you know?
I think for the rest of the Caribbean islands, we have to look at actually their inflation. But because inflation is countrywide, not really global, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at the war in Ukraine, and we look at what has transpired with COVID-19, the supply and demand has, taken a toll on all countries. Mm-hmm. But what I would say is that when we look at the living wage, because we have factored in what we're doing in terms of living wage rather than minimum wage, like most countries have done, I think it will be different for us. Because now, let us say, for example, a parent, I am a single parent, making bare minimum wage, and I have to send my children to school. Number one, what we have taken into consideration is the fact that we wouldn't have to pay for the lunch anymore. Mm-hmm. If a parent has two children, let's say two children who are between 0 to 3 year cohort, they no longer have to pay for the daycare center. And then another thing we took into consideration, the fact that a lot of parents, you would see, having to pick up their children between the hours of 2:30 and 3 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And they will have to ensure that there was a babysitter there for those 2 hours. What we have done is factor that in. So now our students will have the opportunity now to stay at school from 2:30, 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock. So parents wouldn't have that additional expense. So that is the reason why we factored in a living wage, taking into consideration those 3 social programs to assist our parents who are most vulnerable.
Yeah, but the living wage, though, is just for persons making $25,000, right?
Yes, right.
Or less.
25,000 or less.
Right.
But no, not for all of them. Because if
okay.
Right. That is just for the daycare centers. Mm-hmm. That's just for the daycare centers. All cohorts of students will benefit from the after school program. All will benefit from the nutritional grant.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so the one with the 25,000, that's just for
daycare centers.
The daycare.
Right.
But everything else is
for everyone.
And it's for all the public schools.
Yes,
throughout the Turks and Caicos.
Throughout the Turks and Caicos. But let me say this too, Drax. There are going to be situations, for example, and this is what I said to my team. There will be situations, for example, I may be making above the bare minimum wage. I know, let us say 10% above the bare minimum wage. But I may have a mortgage. Or I may have a child who's attending university who did not benefit from a scholarship. So those are some of the factors we are saying that we're going to take into consideration to assist parents. So it'll be on a case-by-case basis. Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the nutritional grant, in terms of the free lunch, now there are going to be situations where parents can really afford it and still would say, I want my child to benefit. So we're going to have situations for that. And we are catering for situations such as that as well. Because, Mr. Seymour, when you were small, because it's fried chicken, but I'm not saying fried chicken. If it's something that looks like I want to have, that'd be a cheeseburger. Because remember now, persons will say to themselves, a cheeseburger is not a healthy meal. It is. But children, because they see others eating, they would want to eat too. So we have factored in being able to assist at least 75% of our students in all government schools, with the hope that less would take advantage of it.
So how would that work with the canteens that are currently in the system?
Very
How
good
will that work?
question. Now we are factoring in, because for the canteens that were privatized during my reign, our aim was to utilize the existing canteen operators, and but now their tenure come to an end this year.
Okay.
So they will
This
have to
financial year?
reapply. Yes, this financial
Or
year.
end of August when school closed.
When school closed, which is July. So they will have to reapply like they did for the opportunity. And because we are going to take into consideration a larger number of students, there may be opportunities for probably 2 vendors per school because of the large number of students that they will have to serve.
Okay, I understand. So I know we talk about, you say cheeseburger being healthy. I never heard that one before.
Yes, it
But
is healthy,
it
Jess,
is?
because it has lettuce, it has proteins, it has starch, it has lettuce, and it has tomatoes. But we are not saying cheeseburgers every day. But with that being said, we are definitely making sure that there's a nutritional program.
That's what I wanted.
A very nutritional program.
That's
Mr.
what I
Seymour.
wanted to go on.
Yes.
That's what I want to ask. This is a good opportunity to introduce
Healthy
nutritional
food.
stuff
Yes,
into the schools,
definitely.
because there are so many people getting sick
Yeah.
in this country, and one of the main reasons is because of our diet.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I believe this is a great opportunity to deal with this. Right.
Because I don't want us to go to the schools having a nutritional program and then we are just looking at foods like fruits and vegetables. But it has to be balanced. And a balanced meal consists of foods from each of the food groups. So if there is an opportunity to say a cheeseburger as a treat on a particular Friday, I don't see anything wrong with it. Making sure that they probably have a fruit on the side. But with that being said, we definitely going to ensure that it is balanced, a balanced meal for our programs that we're going to introduce.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to now move away from the let me see if anyone have any questions before I move away from the minimum wage and the living wage.
And then while you're looking at the questions, I also want to say to the public
no questions. No.
that we are actually continuing our scoping out of the work for the programs. So when we come back on to your program, we will have our team speaking to the communities in relation to who will definitely benefit and the number of persons will benefit. We will also speak to the kind of lunch program so parents can have a very good idea, knowing that although it's going to be free, we still will have parents sign up for the program, so we'll know exactly which students we are catering to.
I want to talk now. I want to go from an educational point of view. I was in a conversation with someone, an entrepreneur. He's been living here now for quite a while, and he said, "Drexwell, you know what we need in this country? We need tradespeople." He said, "I have to get work permits for people from the DR and other countries to come here to work." He said, "We don't have that. I know you have this program in the college, I believe. Is there a program in the high school that will prepare our young people to venture into that field as soon as they finish high school, in the event that they do not go to college? Because not everybody's going to college. You have to accept that fact. It took me a long time to accept with my kids. Not everybody's going to go to college, and so, if we could prepare these children in the secondary school, so when they leave, they could go right into the workforce, even get some sort of certificate from the region or whatever, that they're a plumber, they are an electrician, or they're on their way to becoming a full plumber, whatever. But at least they have the basic training and on the job training. Is that in place, or what are the plans? Can you share with us?
Yes, thank you very much for that question, Drax. And as the Minister for Education, TVAT is very near to my heart. Now, we currently have the CVQ programs within our high schools on all of our islands. That's where the high schools exist, on Grand Turk, on South Caicos, North Caicos, and on Providencia Islands. But the range of programs differ. So it's critical for us as in the Ministry of Education to ensure that our students who are transitioning from the high school into the community college have completed at least level 1 of TVAT. Now, CVQ,
and what is TVAT again?
Technical Vocational Educational Training.
And what is CVQ?
CVQ is Caribbean Vocational Qualification. You're a real teacher. I was getting to that. I'm like Drexwell Seymour. So yes, Drax.
I want to be a teacher, actually.
So Drax, Mr. Baxter, Kevin Baxter, is actually the TVAT dean.
I think he was on the show.
Yes, and they are coming back very soon. What we are doing now, we are trying to ensure that the course offerings in CVQ are also offered at the community college. So, for example, if I finish level 1 CVQ, which is TVAT level 1, I can transition easy into the community college. But first and foremost, we have to ensure that the course offerings is at the community college, because what we have realized based on our data is that our students, let us say, for example, a school child finishes plumbing at the high school, but because it's not offered at the community college, they transition probably in beaches, weighing tables, okay?
And you see that happening?
Yeah, we see that happening a lot. So the cry is always there, Minister, we want to transition. So we do have some program offering where students can transition into the community college, but we are extending our offering so we can accommodate our students. And it's very easy to accommodate because what we have introduced, although some people may say you don't have the facility, but that's fine, because in partnership with Bahamas Technical Vocational Institute, we have introduced the PLA. So that means those persons who, and I want to speak to lifelong learners as well. Mm-hmm. So therefore, there are students who coming to the community college, let us say in plumbing. So they already have that foundation, level 1. So what we can start doing now is partner with, for example, if it's plumber, we can partner with a plumbing company. So
yes.
They would do their skill there.
Yes.
And then they go to the community college. Yes. And they do their theory. So those are the kind of offerings we're going to have. But for example, we have, being a minister of labor, I've realized that a lot of our cosmetologists come from the DR or Jamaica. So what we have introduced, because it was an easy one for us, an easy win. So we have introduced cosmetology that will start in April.
At the community college?
At the community college. Because
we can't start these things in secondary school?
Yes, we can. So that's what I'm saying now. We're going to partner with our with the secondary schools to offer it as early as third form, fourth form, and fifth form. But we have already started because we have started the CVQ. But let me provide an opportunity for Mr. Howell to speak specifically to the programs in relation to CVQ that currently exist in our high schools.
All right, Mr. Howell.
Good morning again, Turks and Caicos. We're doing at the high school level. We're currently offering food prep. Some of our students are doing furniture making. The others are doing data operations, and there is a fourth. As the minister said, the idea for us at the high school level, your area of interest, Mr. Seymour, is to ensure that we are offering additional courses that the children can take and then matriculate into the community college. Across
or even schools, into the work field, because some might not go to community college.
And let me say something about that. Into the labor market directly is where we want to ensure that they are leaving with the level 1 qualifications. And that requires for us at the high school level to make sure that our labs are up to date, because a key part of the qualification is to make sure that the facility standards are on par with the region and internationally. And we've been doing that. That's a part of the upgrades that we've been doing in our schools. We worked along with one of the representatives from the Caribbean Examinations Council, who came in and did some training with the persons who are delivering the program, the coordinators in each of the 4 schools, with some of the teachers, with the education officer who oversees the CVQ program. And she is coming back now to do some follow-up work. That will ensure that we can have more of our students getting the level 1 qualification. And once they have that, depending on the subject area that they're working in, some of them would be able to go into entry points within the labor market. Others may opt to go into the community college or to join the labor market and continue their studies, provided those studies are ongoing at the college or elsewhere, wherever they're able to do it. And one of the interesting things, I think, for the community college, for Turks and Caicos, is, as the minister mentioned, where someone leaves high school with either some units or the full level 1, and they go into the labor market, they don't necessarily have to go back to the community college, because the prior learning would allow the college to come in, assess the work that they're doing, and certify them up to the level where they are. So they're helping them to build those skills as they go along. We would want to see young people leaving high school and ready to join the labor market, whether they're joining as employees or they're joining as entrepreneurs, if we can encourage that. But of course, we appreciate that some of them will take a longer time to get the qualification.
Okay. You have anything to add, Mr. McCartney, on that point?
I think Mr. Howell was quite elaborate on it.
And then I'm quite sure that the community college will be back this month on a few shows, probably yours again in April, Mr. Seymour, because we are partnering too with the JML in terms of looking at the blue economy. Providing opportunities for certification is going to be critical for us. Because to be honest, Mr. Seymour, I realize that a lot of our people have the skills, but the certification doesn't provide them that opportunity to earn the money that others who are certified in the field. So our jet ski operators, our boat tour operators, opportunity will be provided to them to gain certification in that area. We are really partnering with DECR to make this happen.
Okay, well, that is good.
So that workshop, you will see much flyers coming out very soon. You can check my Facebook page as well as the community college Facebook page. I don't remember the date, but I'm quite sure it's the last week in March. But I'll update you.
Okay.
Yes.
So the TVAC?
Yes.
Yes.
That program, is it a combination of theory and practical?
Yes.
I mean, is the practical on the college, or are you partnering with the private sector? I know you mentioned something earlier about partnership with people, but is there something on the campus where the students are getting hands-on experience as well?
Okay, now...
Or is it just theory?
No. You also have hands-on experience as well. Because now we have recently introduced a train-the-trainer program. So therefore, we utilize cohorts of teachers from the Clement Howell High School as well, who come in, for example, electrical engineering. That is done there. Because I've been there last week, and I saw where the students were doing their examination, and that is in partnership with Hearts Trust. Out of Jamaica. So actually it's online platform, right? So they're there on their cameras viewing exactly, even when it comes to the practical. The Heart Foundation in Jamaica can actually observe what their students are doing, because the cameras are very, very technical. And I was quite surprised when Mr. Baxter showed me how technical the cameras are in terms of seeing every piece of detail work that the students do. So therefore, that is how the practical aspects, so they're really graded in collaboration with Hearts Trust in Jamaica. But we also have a teacher here. For example, if we're doing electrical engineering, we would use a teacher from the Clement Howell or a teacher from the community college to oversee. And then they sit there and they do their practical. I observed it, so I could say much about that. And I was quite pleased to Mr. Seymour that we have a lot of our lifelong learners who are taking advantage of the opportunities. And that is what we're trying to do as we build out our human capital development. Not just our school leavers, but also our lifelong learners.
What is lifelong learners?
Lifelong learners are those individuals who have left school for a long period of time, but who just want to continue to upskill and retool themselves.
All right. So TVAC then basically is the vocational.
Yes,
the vocational
aspect, yes. And then I must say too that when we finished phase 2 of the club pillows, we're actually doing phase 1 right now,
What's phase one involved?
Phase one
Because
involves...
the building looks very empty.
Yeah, right, it is. Now, phase one will involve housing our new cohorts of teachers. Those ones for our HR manager, our CFO, our quality assurance individual who's really responsible for reviewing the curriculum, our communication strategic person, and then as well as a portion of TVAT. So the cosmetology aspect of it will be.
Oh, I
will
thought
be
that was
phase
just
one.
going to be. I thought that building was just going to be for the hospitality school.
No. There's another area. Yeah, we have another piece of land for the hospitality school. That is where we're going to relocate the community college and a portion of it. Because actually, what I like about that in terms of its utilization is that it currently has a bar. So when we introduce the mixology, of which we have already done, the mixology courses, the bar is already there for that purpose too. The kitchen is already there. So it will help us now to commence some programs immediately.
Okay, that's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what about agriculture into the schools?
Okay, now, very good. Now, and that is the reason why, a lot of people may say, as a minister, Ms. Taylor wants things done quickly. But I think if there was an opportunity to introduce certain programs, why not? We intend to introduce agriculture science as a pilot at the Clement Howell High School, as well as at the Raymond Gardner High School, because Raymond Gardner is an agricultural island. And then,
North Caicos.
yes, right, North Caicos. And then we have our farms in our schools with great partnership from Beaches, Turks and Caicos and many other donors. Actually, at Clement Howell, we have recently introduced hydroponics at our schools. So. And then there are many others who I must say are joining with us in terms of greening our schools. I think our children need to understand the concept behind a green economy and what it entails. So that is being done. And it will be introduced in September, but we have introduced it to the schools. Mr. Howell, you can speak very briefly on that. And special thanks to our curriculum planner, Ms. Elsie and Delancey. She spearheads that.
Okay.
So the farming in schools has been introduced at the primary level and the secondary level. It's not only for secondary schools.
So we have products and stuff.
Yes.
And what they do with those products? They're selling it.
They are marketing as well.
Yeah.
So
I see
they're
the
learning
prison,
those
I see
skills.
the prison
Yes.
selling eggs the other day. I saw someone share it on Facebook.
If you've seen any of the work coming out of the Ira Stubbs Primary on South Caicos, they package their stuff. They have a name for the packaging or the companies that they operate, and that is sold. So the children are learning not only how to
that's
plant
awesome.
and take care of that, but they're also learning the skills of marketing their produce to the public. And that is to happen across the schools. Now, of course, on some islands they may be competing for the small population of people that they're marketing to, but we want them to learn the skills as well. So don't think in terms of working out in the hot sun and having to plant, but think also of how you can make money from the produce that you're able to raise.
And those produce, they're very good. The ones you're buying in these stores, we don't know where they're coming from. At least the ones you're growing.
That's right.
Yeah, you're managing the amount of fertilizer and other chemicals that you're using for growing. And then, as the minister mentioned, in terms of greening our schools, that is another program that is being introduced. It is to be fully launched in September, but we've gone through the school system already, introducing the concepts, having schools think around energy efficiency, renewable energy, how they can audit their own schools and the energy usage, with a view to improving or decreasing the carbon footprint over time. And school seems to be excited about it. Hopefully they don't see it as an extra thing that they're being asked to do, but as a part of learning and the learning experiences for young people.
Okay. Now what about because tourism is our livelihood. I know we talk about the hospitality in the college, but for years now, we've been talking about putting tourism as part of the curriculum. And I think it's very important for us to put that into the primary and the secondary schools. Are there any plans, or is tourism part of the curriculum?
It is in the social studies as
No,
a part
no,
of the
I
social
wanna-
studies
no, no, no,
program.
no.
It is not a standalone.
No, we need a standalone.
And there are reasons for the standalone. The standalone puts pressure on the existing time frame in which the programs are delivered. And so what we've looked at, in addition to having tourism clubs operating within our schools, you can have aspects of tourism introduced into social studies. And it's not in passing. It is a key part of the program that has to be delivered.
So it's a key part?
Yes.
Because it's very critical for people to understand and appreciate tourism. Mm-hmm. This is our bread and, this is our what's the expression? Bread and butter. We need to, and the children could go home to their parents, explain to their parents, because sometimes we take it for granted, We take it for granted. I feel that, as an outsider, I feel like tourism studies should be a separate study. I don't think it should be part of social studies. Of course, I'm not an educator, but I feel it should be a standalone subject. This is our main, basis for our economy. And we need to drill that in people's mind, and I think we should make that part of our curriculum. I don't think it should be part of the social studies. That's my personal opinion. I think people need to live and breathe tourism every day. We don't have to wait until November when it's tourism month. We keep talking about tourism, everybody business. It's everybody business every day, and one way we could do that is by putting it into the schools.
Adding it onto the curriculum, I've discussed.
There's some things we need to take out.
Yeah,
There's some things in the curriculum we need to take out.
We can have those discussions.
Yes, we can have those discussions.
I think we have too many subjects that we don't need.
We can have those discussions.
I think when it comes to looking at subjects, and I heard somebody saying this, Mr. Seymour, that they looked back at their high school experience and they concluded, and their college as they shared it, and they concluded that some of the stuff they did doesn't matter. Yeah. And I said, if you look at it compartmentalized like that, then maybe you have a little bit of truth somewhere in there.
I said it too.
But when you look at your life, the sum total of who you are now, it is because you would have been exposed. You don't really sit down and think about how are you drawing on a concept. And at the time when I was talking with the person, it had to do with algebra. You don't really sit down and consider when you were using something that you'd have learned in algebra. You just say, well, why are letters and numbers mixed together? But the concepts that you learned during that experience, you draw on those from time to time to make sense of life. And so,
I understand what you're saying, but my thing is times have changed, and I feel that our curriculum has not changed. I may be wrong, but I feel like we're doing the same thing we did 30 years ago. And things we should put in the curriculum, swimming, that should be mandatory. Every child in the Caribbean, in Turks and Caicos, of course, should know how to swim. Why is swimming not part of the curriculum? We ain't on a pool.
No, but
that's what we can say. But we got the beach.
Yeah, a good question.
Swimming should be a mandatory thing.
And we have people who come alongside schools to offer the swimming to any child who would want to take that free of cost in some cases, and then of course they're paying for it in others. But if you're advocating that then should be a part of the 8 to 3 o'clock program, then we'd have to decide what gets priority.
I know if I was school, I would have school all year round. There'll be no breaks.
We're re-engineering the school experience.
There'll be no long summer breaks. Because what the kids will do summer anyway. I would reduce that summer breaks.
Well, Mr. Seymour, I think the minister wants to make this point, but the after-school program.
Yes,
go ahead, Minister.
That's why you do the politics. Have to make some tough decisions.
You do that, Minister.
Yes, I agree. So I listened very attentively to what you had to say in relation to the various cost offerings. But I think what we can capitalize on is the opportunity for our after-school programs. So our after-school programs can factor in more structured tourism clubs. It could factor in swimming as a part, because we have already spoken to the Sports Commission, and they have said to us, Minister, wow, since you're going to pay for these after-school programs, we're going to help you develop your programs.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I mean, I almost drowned.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to swim.
Me too, Drax. I almost drowned. I didn't know. Yeah.
And so I made sure my kids learned how to swim, because you know what? Yeah. What happened was one day, I say, you know what? If my kids are drowning in that pool, I have to let them drown. Yeah. Because if I go, both of us can drown.
But you only just learned to swim? That's what you're saying?
Yes, I just learned how to swim.
But Drax, I haven't.
Okay.
Huh?
I made sure
I got my certificate to prove it, by the way.
Congratulations.
I went to one of those same swimming associations that come by the school.
I think the point is made, though, that children growing
Somebody
up on
say
an
have
island,
half-day school on Saturdays. I like that.
except for the Seventh-day Adventists, we'll have to consider them. Maybe half-day school on Sundays, But the point is made that growing up on an island, there are some things that children should know. We would have to decide as a country, how do you make those things available as a part of a formal learning process for them, or an educational experience for them. And I think the after school program offers us such an opportunity to ensure that children are a part of a structured program that we know will happen at certain times during the week. How many children are taking advantage of that? And of course, having parents who want to volunteer to be we would need guards, and we would need people who are delivering the program itself. They can come alongside schools and make sure that this happens. Communities can do it to make sure that children are learning how to swim, that children know how to play marbles and make top out of what we used to use, the gamelami wood. I don't know if you remember that. No. But doing those things, a part of culture, bringing culture, the cultural experience back into the process as well.
So, speaking about swimming, when is the pool going to start? Because I heard you guys got the land near Venetian Road or something.
Yes, we have the land already.
When you going to do it?
We have factored in the money we have scoped it out already, and we have factored that into the new spend. Fingers crossed, that will be one of our capital projects.
And it's right by the stadium area?
Yes, we did 5 acres. Yes. So it will include an entire swimming.
You have 5 acres land there?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I drive to keep my kids to soccer now.
Yeah. So now we are, fingers crossed. I was so happy that the premier was on Sports Watch the other day, and he alluded to, all I could do is smile from inside, but I couldn't let him see. So I think it's coming on board.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking about that, right, why does it appear, since you're on the show, why does it appear that things take so long to happen in government? What is it? What you don't want to say anything?
I don't want to say much, but I think everybody is aware. Persons have made mention of it. We have a lot of projects going on currently, and I'm glad you asked this question. Sometimes number one can be procurement, and then because we do need more manpower too within PPID. And that's the reason why, Mrs. Seymour, we're being very intentional and strategic about what we do in relation to our scholarship policy, providing an opportunity to provide scholarships for certain skill areas. We need project managers. We need quantity surveyors. So these are the skills that we are saying that if there's an opportunity for the various skills, we're saying 10 to this particular area, 6 to education. I'm not being specific right now. I'm just giving you examples.
Example.
Right. So we have to do that. And as mentioned in our last cabinet, for example, our accountants. So if a child wants to study accounts, you go up to CPA, making sure that an opportunity is provided.
Actually, Ms. Thomas from your office called me about that.
Right. So those are the ventures we are embarking upon within the Ministry of Education. Now, some persons may say to themselves, okay, that denies my child the opportunity. But the way in which we are going with the community college, we are making sure that we are able to uplift our standards. And that is the reason why we have the additional manpower, like I mentioned to you recently, in terms of the quality assurance officer, who's going to look carefully at our curriculum.
Okay.
So if a course offering is at the community college, definitely we have to provide that opportunity. Now, I was very pleased when I spoke to the head boy and the head girl from HJ. And, whenever I see young people, I ask the question, where are you going? What's your plan? Minister, my plan is to go to the community college. I say, you will be our poster girl and boy. It's awesome.
That is great.
But I must say to those persons on the island of Grand Turk, when we did our program for what do we call it again? When we introduced our new course of students in Grand Turk, I was so pleased. Orientation exercise, that's it. I was so pleased, Mr. Seymour. A lot of the students capitalized of the opportunity. So kudos to the Grand Turk population.
That is great news.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people in Grand Turk do use the community college a lot, though.
They do.
I say that.
Yes,
I don't know if it's because of the family right there.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I noticed that a lot of people from Grand Turk
But I noticed too, right, because with the Grand Turk family, if they could keep their students home, they would. But they just want you to provide an avenue for them to continue.
Yeah. Speaking about the college, let me ask this controversial question. Maybe it's not controversial. There's been a lot of... Do you guys know how many students have left, or how many people have left to go to the UK?
Okay. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I think as a country or as a government, we are not data-driven. So that is going to be critical for us. We are capturing all that information.
Because I know only 150 people are registered at the office in London. Because I contacted Sarah. Is it Sarah? Tracy? Nice.
In terms of finding out where our children are, because I think we can't really track them because a lot of them are not on government scholarships. A lot of the BOT students transition into the UK on their own.
Right.
So the key thing is finding out where they are. And when I visit the UK in May, that is my aim. So
you're going to go this May?
Yeah, this May, along with the DG, the Premier. We're going in May because there's an education forum.
Okay.
So we take the opportunity to meet and greet all our students who are over there, whether you're on scholarship.
And when y'all go, make sure go to the watch Raisha.
Yes, we definitely will. That's on our agenda.
Yeah, I went there.
But we're not sure which day, but that's on our agenda.
But I brought that up because there's a lot of concerns on the social media that a lot of people are leaving the UK, leaving Turks and Caicos to live in the United Kingdom permanently.
Yes.
I even did a survey to understand. Of course, the surveys, a lot of people answered. 134 people, I think, responded. But 62% said they'll come back home.
Yes.
Now, 49%, I think, of the people, 48% of people say they're working in the United Kingdom. And 41% say they are going to school, and the remainder was on this.
I want to answer that.
So I need to is that a concern for you as a member of government, being the Minister of Education? What plans are in place? Because even I'm trying to do a show, actually, with some persons in the United Kingdom who do not plan to come back home. I want to understand why they don't want to come back home. Also, I'm also going to do a show with those that came back home. And I will tell you what is frustrating for some people. For example, my daughter, she won't let me say this, but she has a degree in criminology, so she can't find a job here. She wants to be home. She's here. But she's working in reservations at a hotel because she can't find a job. And so a lot of people are coming home
with the skills.
They may not have the experience, but they have the degree. But they cannot get a job. They cannot get the government can't hire everybody. And a lot of employers, they want people with experience. And so that's a big challenge. And so some of these students are remaining in the UK. They're getting the experience. And some of them are not going to come back home. I want you to tell me, and the people listening out there, what can you as the government, what are you? I know you're going to go in May, going to meet with them. What do you think we need to do? And if is that a concern?
Very much so. Actually, this is a discussion we had in any other business in Cabinet last Wednesday. But in speaking to this, may I mention that that's the reason why, as Minister of Labor, it was crucial for me to introduce the internship and apprenticeship program.
That's the internship is very good.
But let me also speak to it provides, cause like you mentioned, a lot of persons come home and the first thing the employers say lack experience. So a lot of people are saying that with the internship program, it's not going to be much of experience because they only do that during the summer break, which is about 6 to 8 weeks. But I think it's a start in the right direction.
Yes, a start.
And what I notice is that a lot of the individuals who are on our internship program, the response from the employers are very, very good, indicating that, Minister, I want this particular child when she returns or he returns. Look at the partnership that we have had with Sports Commission. Sports decided to hire 2 of them within 2 months of them being as apprentices.
I saw that.
So, and then apprenticeship too, we provide an opportunity that when you return home, you can be an apprentice, paid apprentice for, it's only $1,800. But sometimes we find that there are companies who top it up. So at least we're finding employment for them when they return. I think that's a good thing. But then again, I want to speak to our doctors who are away. For
medical
example,
doctors?
Yes, our medical doctors who are away in Jamaica. Now, what we just had the discussion, and I just received an email from Dr. Brathwaite in relation to the MOU that we have to sign with InterHealth Canada. But it's not just about signing the MOU for those students to come home and receive the necessary internship.
So they could do the training there as opposed to going to UWI campus and do the training.
Now, we know the challenge, right?
Bahamas.
The challenge with Jamaica is this. If Jamaica has 10 spaces for internship, 8 of them going to their students because it's paid internship.
It'll go to the nationals.
So what we have to do is be serious about what we're doing and increase our budget in relation to our internship for our doctors so that we can pay them while they're here. That's the problem. We have not signed any MOU with InterHealth Canada to say, should your students return home, we will pay them. Government has to pay. But I was so pleased, and that's the reason why I so love the Premier. He said to the DG, let's look at this immediately, not just for doctors, but for, let us say, we have someone returning with a CPA. We need to, if we're going to have them in as an apprentice, we have to pay them, even if it only means a scale down from a CPA. So this is the kind of work that we are embarking upon to address this concern. Now, I want to say in terms of our students who are leaving for the UK, it's mainly our BOTC, mainly. We do have locals.
What about families, though?
Now, families are leaving because they see the need for that A-level program being free. So education is free in the UK, and who wouldn't jump on that? But the key thing is that we have to attract them to come back. It is what we do to attract them to come back, and knowing where they are and what skill set they are training in.
I mean, some people do come back. I know, as I say, I'll do a show because I want to hear two sides.
Yes.
I'll do a show with people who return.
Yes.
And people who who don't seem to plan to return.
But one more thing, Mr. Seymour, I was at Gustavus and a young student stopped me and she said, Minister, remember when you had the youth symposium, you posed this question, how many persons are returning? Say, we didn't put our hands up to say we are returning, but let me tell you one reason why I might not return. She said, you have no social programs here. What am I going to do when I return? Go $5 bar and have a drink, or go somewhere else and have a drink? So the programs they want something to do when they return.
I always hear that, but I don't.
You think it's more than that? But that's what they're saying.
I know everybody said they want a social life.
Yeah.
I gathered that. I mean, I know when I went to school in Ohio, that was many years ago.
Right. We had no social.
Almost 30-something years ago. Oh, shoot. And man, I was thinking about the malls they had in Ohio, all the different things. But I came home and I'm all right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's people sometimes, like, they forget where they came from. You go to the UK, you go to America, you have all these shopping malls, all these restaurants. Man, well, why
we have a lot of restaurants.
So why they don't come and do something there?
Yeah.
If we need a social life, why they don't start up a business providing social life for the people? I got a problem with that. I ain't telling you a lie.
Yeah, I have a problem with it.
I think it's an excuse.
But it is an excuse, but if that is their excuse, we need to address it. That's how I feel. If it's their excuse, let's address it. Because drugs, I thought it was like 2 persons, but
no, it's a big issue. Social is a big issue.
But what I did is that
movie theater, bowling alleys.
So I said to Angela Musgrove from Invest TCI, I said, girl, this is the cry from the youth. I said, you've been a youth director. Now, what are we going to do? So I guess we have to try and encourage investors to come in, or our own people to invest in opportunities for social life.
And then when you do that,
maybe that's an opportunity for you too.
I'm thinking about it. And when they do that, they can find another excuse. I think I understand that's a reason. It's a valid reason. But I think a lot of it boils down to patriotism as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. It does. But let me say this, Drax, and I'm glad that you said that. When I look at the large cohorts of BOT students who are leaving, one of the reasons, because a lot of them are students that I've taught.
But you all give them everything. You all give them the same thing. You all give them Turks and Caicos.
Drax, let's be honest now. I don't think sometimes we appreciate them. No. So when they go to the UK, it is sad, welcome home. But what we do, we complain. We don't want to make them I don't think they should have everything that we have, but I think we need to include them because they make up the largest cohort of our students within our schools, whether we like it or not. I think about 50% or more of our student population
in the public school?
Yes.
Or overall?
In the public school.
I think when you look at the student population overall, because of the population
and the BOTC, that's the British Overseas Territory Citizen. Yeah. And they could get that after being here for 10 years.
Yes. Once they were born in Turks and Caicos and remain here up to...
You have to be born here.
Yes.
And be consecutive 10 years.
10 years, yes. And able to prove that is the case. It's an automatic. I say an automatic because whether you're applying for it at 18 or 10 or you're applying for it at 100, it's a provision that you can access.
But with that being said, so yes, Ms. Howell, you are right. So it's overall, when we looked at that, about 50%, but I think it's a little higher. But we're just going to ensure that we have the necessary data to address some of the situations. But I must say, at this time, Mr. Seymour, it's going to be critical for our parents to understand what is available to our children and ensuring that they capitalize of the opportunities. Because even with our increase in the community college, we had level playing field in terms of locals and BOTCs. But I think our parents just don't take the initiative to ensure. I've had the opportunity to visit some primary high schools. As a matter of fact, all our high schools. And I would sit down for about an hour or two with the fifth formers. And then when you ask them, what's your next step? in life in terms of what is it, your career path. A lot of them, they will fumble in terms of their response because they don't know. So, and I'm saying to my team as well, we have to be intentional about what we do, making sure that there are opportunities for our students to learn of this while in school, and from very early, third
I think
form.
we have to go early into the schools.
But what I realized too is that, I mean, I remember when I finished high school, it was Dr. Carlton Mills. I was in Sweet Teas, Mr. Seymour, and he said to me, tomorrow you're leaving. And I'm like, leaving where? He said, you're going to Michael Teachers College.
So you didn't apply?
I applied. I did apply, but I didn't realize something was going to happen.
Okay.
Because it was the top 10. I was number 9 in the country, so I didn't realize that it would have happened. My aim was on saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do if this doesn't happen. I was going to be an entrepreneur frying chicken, Miss Mooney. I would have made a lot of money too. But
you can still do that too at the same time.
Because I could fry a good chicken and flip a good cheeseburger.
You sure?
I could do that.
Okay.
But Mr. Seymour, back to saying that parents, we have to play an integral role in our student, in the lives of our children, making sure that you assist them in terms of following up with the information in relation to opportunities, free access to TCICC, scholarship, international programs. Sometimes the parents will call me late, even after we have been communicating. We know that scholarship deadline closes the end of April. I may be extending it to May. You will hear from us because we have an action paper that's coming out this week. So you'll be hearing more about the minor amendments to the scholarship policy. But parents need to get involved. And I say to my students all the time, you're always on that device. Pick it up and look at relevant information in relation to yourselves. Because we're just listening to music. You need to be in the know.
But I think the community college should be in the high schools frequently.
Yes.
I don't think we should wait until career day.
That's right. Yes.
I don't care what anybody says about America. I love American system of education. Those people, they flood you.
Yeah.
They flood you into high schools. Yeah. Even when you're in college, you have all these different companies flooding you
with information.
And I think that's what we need to do.
But I must say, and that's the reason why the minister is intentional. Intentional in the sense that we have our own communication officer for the community college. She came on board the first week in March.
Oh, okay.
So I'm saying now, when I go onto my social media, I'm always seeing community college. I'm like, that's how I want it to be. I'm supposed to say, Dr. Malcolm, I'm just tired of seeing you. So that is our aim. We're going to be in there frequently, not just the community college, but we're going to partner with the TVAT, which is a part of the community college, and the scholarship. So we're going there as a team, so we can communicate.
Yeah, not only the government schools, the private schools too.
Yes. I went to
promote the community college.
And this is what I'm saying. And then what I want to is our leaders to be proactive in their doings. Even if you don't see us, I think leaders need to take the initiative to say, I need you in my school by this time too.
Yeah.
So I think it takes a collaborative approach to dealing with the situation in terms of information.
Yeah.
And not only that, I don't want persons going into my schools and communicating. I want my leaders within my school to be so knowledgeable about the information. In the event that you don't come, I can communicate that. That's what's lacking as well. Because I went into a school and listen, I thought I was delivering a speech. The children were tentative because they didn't know. That was a private school. They didn't know.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's very important, that information. And then I think that will also remove the myth about the community college. Because a lot of parents too, a lot of us are watching other parents and we're not even keen on sending our children to community college. We want to send them directly to the United Kingdom or something like that. And you have some people even say the community college is not even accredited. You have all these different things, all these different stories about the community college. And I think it's important for us to put the community college in people's face.
Yes. So we've started and we will continue to be there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Mr. McCartney, you have been very quiet. Do you have anything you want to share with us before we end?
Well, the one thing I would like to add is that we talked about the data gap in terms of as it relates to the labor market. The ministry, prior to the transitioning of the Labor Department, were working on a labor market information system. Now, this was not just to capture in terms of relating to work permits, but also to look at areas where Turks and Caicos Islanders are underemployed or even unemployed, and look at job evaluations, look at providing the necessary human resources also to track certain, not just track certain indicators, but to improve the labor market and the employability of Turks and Caicos Islanders. So, and also to it would inform scholarship offerings to the labor market information system. So just want to mention that critical piece of work that was ongoing in terms of advancing that.
No problem. But I still want us to know how we're going to, I still need to understand those students that return home who can't find a job in their field. What should they do? I know you got the apprenticeship program, but apprenticeship can hire everybody.
Yes.
What should they do?
Well, I would say...
Before they get frustrated and leave the country.
Right. Okay, now what I would say to them, because remember now, these will factor in the students who are not on scholarship.
Yes.
Because we are addressing now, as much as possible, the students who want. So if you don't register with the Labor Department, if you register with the Labor Department, we will definitely get that information, because the internship program currently remain with Labor until very soon. I will get it. Because that's one thing that I requested, that the internship program comes over with me, but it stays there. So we have an individual who's currently in the Labor Department who is looking very carefully at the information, the data in relation to those persons who are unemployed. But I must say that the internship and apprenticeship program is a partnership initiative with the government and the private sector. And for example, when this cohort of students come out, actually we already know who they are and their skill set. So therefore the DG will get that information as early as this week to see in terms of how we can place. We might, I'm not sure what's going to happen, whether it's going to be in a supplementary budget in terms of the item that we discuss in cabinet in terms of how we place these individuals in government. Because we may say, okay, I need, we have 6, let's give an example. We have 6 accountants, but we only have space for 2 in government. We could do some understudying somewhere in government, but we have to be able to pay. So we have to put our money where our mouths is in terms of providing that additional money to address those issues. And then speaking, we have to, the labor market information system, I was excited about as Minister for Labor, but I'm quite sure Honorable Musgrove will continue in that venture because it will capture the relevant data that we need.
Okay. Well, I appreciate this hour spending time with all of you. I hope to see some things next time we meet. You can say, oh, that's done. And I hope things get better, especially with the procurement process, because that seemed to be a hold up in many cases throughout the governments. Do you have any closing remarks? Because we're ending out right now.
No, I just want to say that I appreciate the opportunity to be on with you, and definitely we are developing our communication strategy. So because we are going to be in the public domain even more. And I want to say thank you too for that personal encouragement. Because when you don't see anything, if you don't see something, Minister, what's going on?
Minister, yeah, you know, you can push, I can write about it.
What's going about there? So thank you very much for that. So it gives us that push.
Sure.
And thank you very much. And I will do all I can. This is my comfort zone, education, and I'll do all that I can to ensure that we advance education here in the Turks and Caicos.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank all of you for being here. I know I graded you guys. I give you guys a D.
Now, let me ask you one question.
In my report card.
Why did you give us a D in one sentence? Why did you give us a D
in one sentence? I think it's lack of communication.
Okay, I think so too.
I don't know what's going on.
I think so.
I only could give you all what I see and hear.
Yes, very good. Yes, I agree.
And we need to communicate more.
Yeah.
And you know, but I really like to see that I know we in touch special needs.
Yes.
But do you think you're going to have that building ready
for September? Year? Yes. I think so. It may not be September, maybe October, because my initial plan was to do a phase approach, but I want to do the full aspect of it. We have already, secured manpower, and we have already. No, I won't speak much about that. But when I come back on, you're gonna be smiling.
All right. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. You've been listening to Financially Speaking with our Minister of. We've been talking about social services, youth. Social services, education, and sports. And of course, we had one of the deputy secretaries, Mr. McCartney, and then the director of education, Mr. Howell. So thank you for listening to Financially Speaking. And for those of you who didn't have an opportunity on the radio, you can let your friends know it will be aired at 7 p.m. on RTC, the #1 station in Turks and Caicos. And of course, you can go back to Facebook on anytime and play this show. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.